Hello from the inside of the Ashtoons camper, everyone. Today is Monday, May the 20th, 2019. It's about 11 o'clock at night, and I am about to do something that I promised probably over a month ago now. It's long overdue, and that is I'm going to watch the VHS copy of the 1958 monster movie, cult monster movie known as The Blob. And this was the breakout role for Steve McQueen. Now, the captions on the front say Steve McQueen in his original 1958 classic with wild teenagers and hopped up cars. I've never even so much as looked up and watched the trailer for this movie. I've seen some of it used in like little YouTube skits. So I do know that the original filming location has something called Blob Fest every year to honor this famous 50s cult classic movie. And Adam the Woo has actually covered that festival. So on the back it says Steve McQueen fights killer slime from outer space in his first starring. Boy, they are really selling Steve McQueen on this. The late Steve McQueen had played some minor roles before being cast to star in what has become a horror classic, The Blob. The original full-length feature film is a time capsule of the 50s camp with its beatnik-style jazzy theme, its credits that hype the introduction of the teenagers, its dazzling pre-hychedelic title graphics, the romantic necking in the convertible under shooting stars, and drag racing in the street backward. McQueen co-stars, it just keeps going on. Okay. You know what? Let's just pop it in. This is going to be an interesting watch, and as soon as the movie's over, me and Clatters will give you our thoughts on it. That's right. I do believe it's about time for you to face your fears and watch another monster movie. It's just a 50s campy monster movie. You'll be all right. I'll be right here beside you, okay? That's right, guys. Clatters is back for another movie review, and so we'll see what kind of thing is going to strike your fancy. I'm even curious to see what strikes Clatter's fancy. You never know what's going to come out of this little guy's head. He's you're a weird one. You know that? All right, guys. Let's go ahead and get this started. These two images are really the only preview you get. That and the synopsis and this nice painting on the front. Oh, a couple more images there. All right, let's go ahead and get it started. The Blob. Here we go. Putting it on in. Get in there. It's going on in. We got the blue screen. The channel 3. Let the campiness begin. Helps if you press the play button. Good times. What do you think, Clatters? You think you're going to have a good time? All right. Full disclosure, guys, it's actually the next morning. So, me and Clatters, it didn't put us to sleep at all. But now we've had a chance to kind of sleep on it and decide what we thought of this old movie. And so, what was it, Clatters? What was the thing that really sticks out in your mind that you remember really well? Let's hear it. The monster? Really? Okay. Well, there you go. I would have thought that you would have gotten a crush on Jane. No, Jane was a little flat. But that monster was actually a lot more terrifying than I would have thought. Because in all the little clips that you see on like YouTube and stuff, you think of it as being like just this slime. It's being pressed through models and stuff like that, which is kind of the special effect they went for. But when you watch the actual story, this blob is actually intelligent. And it grows larger with the more people that it eats. And it's really good at hiding, being really quiet, and strategically sneaking into rooms and trapping people in corners in places where they just simply can't escape. And it's fast. Once it's got you trapped in a corner, it will lunge and engulf your entire body and dissolve it in seconds. And it turns out to be a lot scarier than you would think. It makes me realize why, when they made that movie Monsters vs. Aliens, when they were taking stereotypic monsters from the 50s and stuff and just jamming them together, they included a blob. They made Bob, the blob monster. So I know this isn't the only Blob movie that was made, but this, wow, surprisingly terrifying. Yeah. So I'm going to give them credit for that. Now, let's go over a few things that were unintentionally funny, right? Okay, first off, Steve McQueen went by his actual name. It reminds me of Jackie's First Strike, when, you know, they were all like, Jackie! Or Will Smith on Fresh Prince, where everybody just calls him Will. Yeah, I guess they figured he had enough star power to go by his actual given name, so, yeah, he was known as Steve in the entire movie. And, he looked way too old. He's playing a teenager. But when his dad comes to get him from the police station, because he's taken down to the police station because they just do not believe his story that he saw somebody killed by the blob, and they're like, oh, come on, kid, and doing the whole 50s nobody believes you thing. And his dad comes down to the police station to get him. He looks older than his dad. He's like 2 feet taller than his dad. He's got a deeper voice than his dad. He's got deeper creases in his face than his own dad. I mean, I've seen like 20-somethings playing teenagers in movies before, but this takes it to an all new level. So after the monster has sufficiently hid and gone quiet, and the police have said, Steve, go home, we'll figure this out in the morning, because this is late at night now. We're talking like midnight. And they've said, you know, just go on home. This is all in your head. And he gets sent home, but he's not satisfied. He doesn't want to just sleep, because he knows that this monster is intelligent and it's quiet, and he doesn't want people to just sleep. You know, this thing can come eat you out of your bed. So he sneaks out, and he meets up with his girlfriend, and they go recruit some of their other teenage friends that are out at a spook show. And he tells them, he convinces them that they need to just go around and start warning people. So they go to like the late night bars and little parties going on, and just start telling people, I'm here to warn you. And they keep getting thrown out. They're like, you guys are crazy. Go on. Now, remember, at this point, Steve is the only one that's actually seen it in its big form. He's the only one that's actually seen it kill somebody. And he's just doing his best. I'm not lying. I'm not crazy. The camera zoomed up on his face. You could, like, with the grainy old footage, you can actually see the gaps in his teeth. It's just like, I know. I'm not crazy. I'm not a liar. Look in my eyes. I know what I saw. And so at this point, the teenagers are just, they're tired of getting thrown out. But then Steve gets trapped in a closed grocery store with his girlfriend, and the blob traps them in a freezer, back freezer. And so, as it's good at doing, it's good at trapping you in a place with no exit. And they're like, oh no, we're dead. It's coming in through the bottom of the door. They're like, oh no, we're dead. What do we do? And somehow they make it out. They're not sure exactly why the monster went away. They think it went off to chase a dog. And so they come out of the grocery store. They're like, it's in there. It's in the grocery store. We got to tell everybody. So like all these teenagers just start gathering around him. And they're like, okay, we'll do it. So they all gather up their cars and start honking. And it's like, wait a second. Weren't you guys just thrown out of a bunch of places for trying to warn people about this? And you haven't actually seen it yourself? And so they gather up all their cars and start honking their horns. And the cop that actually absolutely hates teenagers hears it, and he's just like, oh, I think they've got it in for me. Goes out there, and then at that point, we are like right at the end of the movie, and finally the blob starts killing people in the spook show, and it's actually pressing itself through the projector room down into the crowd and eating people. And finally the cops see it, and they realize this thing is real. And so it actually traps Steve and his girlfriend and like a little kid and somebody else down in the cellar underneath this diner. That's why this is like the centerpiece of the cover. And so they're down in the diner, And finally the cops decide to try something, because all they've done so far is shoot at it. It's like, okay, it's a blob, you know it's not going to die from being shot. The doctor tried throwing acid at it, but they haven't really tried a whole lot of different things. So finally they decide they're going to drop a power line on it and see if they can electrocute it. Now this thing, they know that it came to Earth in a meteor, so it survived the vacuum of space, but somehow, yeah, electricity is going to be the thing. Okay, so they drop a power line on it, and of course it does nothing, and but it does set the diner on fire. So now Steve is in the basement of a diner that's on fire and covered in a slime monster, and you can actually see the slime monster pressing itself between the seams in the wall, which is, wow, that's just a crazy scene. Amazing they were able to do that kind of effect. And it starts going down the stairs into the basement. And that's when they start to figure out, you know, what its weakness is. I don't want to give away that part of it. But what's amazing at that point is that the cops actually get on the radio in their cop car, and they're able to call in the National Guard and convince them that there's a slime monster here, and we need special certain things. It's like a giant transport ship and a bunch of other stuff that I'm not revealing yet. But yeah, just right from leaning into a cop car door, grabbing a radio, this cop was able to call out the National Guard and convince them of this. It's just like, only in a campy 50s movie could something like that happen, right? Whew! Okay, it was fun. It was a blast to watch this. I can totally understand why this movie became a cult classic. I enjoyed this. I totally, thoroughly enjoyed this, guys. But that's going to be it. That's going to be it for this review. Now, for my next weird VHS review, it's going to be one of these two here. Either the 1996 French dub movie starring a young Ron Perlman with a really fantastic steampunk motif called City of Lost Children. Either this one or the 1985 bizarre Disney movie that they hope people forget about called Return to Oz. And so it's going to be one or the other, guys. Put down in the comment section which one you would like to see me review, or I should say that we review next. I should probably let you speak a little bit more in the next one, right? Yeah, I know that monster had you terrified there, didn't it? All right, so tell us, Clatters, which one would you pick? Which one? Oh, okay. You want to see Return to Oz, don't you? Yeah, I know. You just want to see that because it looks like it's a little more colorful. Just wait till you get to see the actual movie. Alright, guys, if you enjoyed this, please don't hesitate to indicate so by hitting that thumbs up like button. Leave comments, questions, suggestions, and of course, you know, your request for which one you want to see next. Subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon to start receiving notifications. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one.